Hi everyone. So tonight I'm going to show you how to make Matar Paneer. This is a very classic Punjabi or North Indian dish that I grew up with. I saw it being made in homes all around me all the time. It's very much an everyday dish. So I'll talk you through the ingredients first and then we'll start cooking it. So here I have some paneer cubes, about 250 grams. I've got roughly the same quantity of garden peas. These were frozen and I've just defrosted them. The paneer was frozen as well, by the way. You can buy it ready, cubed and frozen. I've got some passata here, which is about the equivalent of 3 ripe tomatoes. So if you don't have passata or puree, just grind up some tomatoes. This is one medium red onion ground up, and the reason why I'm using ground up things is so that you get a smoother gravy. Now these are the spices that I'm going to use in this dish tonight. So these are Indian bay leaves, which are different to European bay leaves, as I understand it, and they impart quite a nice sort of smoky flavor almost. This is garlic and ginger paste. It's homemade. It's turned green for some mysterious reason. I've got a separate video showing you how to make garlic and ginger paste from scratch, and it's really worth doing because you get a much better flavor than using something out of a jar. However, if you don't have those things accessible fresh, you can always use a jar of garlic and ginger paste. This is a spice mix called Kitchen King, which is similar to garam masala. It's got various aromatic spices in there, and it's quite common for Indian families to buy this ready-made. So it's not a spice that I would normally make at home, and this is in fact out of a packet, but you can substitute that with garam masala. Green cardamom, 6 pods of green cardamom. A few cloves here, about 7 or 8. And then I'm going to be using, in this dish, I'm going to be using ground up coriander seed, whole cumin, red chili powder, and turmeric. But there are other spices in the spice tin. Just very quickly, this is brown mustard seed, this is roasted cumin seed, that's asafoetida, but we're not going to be using those tonight. So let's start cooking. Now the first thing that I'm going to be doing is to lightly fry the paneer pieces. This isn't mandatory, but I remember that this is the way that it was done when I was watching all my aunties in the neighborhood making it. So if you'd like to follow me here. And I'm literally going to do a light toasting of the paneer in as little oil as possible. So obviously if you're conscious about your oil consumption, you want to keep your calorie intake low, then skip this step and don't fry the paneer. But I quite like it fried, so I'm just gonna, that was about a tablespoon of oil roughly, if that, probably a bit less. And 1 or 2 peas I've got in here. And then just give that a light toast, and it does fry up quite quickly. You just want it sort of slightly changing color on all sides. So I'm just going to sort of spread it in the pan and fry it a little bit. Now paneer is something that was traditionally also people buy it ready-made, but you can make it at home if you've got the patience. So you need to make it with whole milk, and it does require a large quantity of milk. And actually what I find is that cow's milk, which is the kind of milk that you normally get here, is quite difficult to make decent paneer with that, because I think it has fewer solids than buffalo milk, which is the kind of milk that was commonly available in India. And even now when you buy paneer in the shops in India, it's often made with buffalo milk. But anyway, as it's available so easily in the shops, there's no particular reason to make it at home. The only reason being that it tastes very nice when it's fresh. Now you can see this is starting to brown a little bit already. If you bring the camera really close. And I'll try and brown these pieces a little bit all over and then come back and show you how the sauce is done. Now, as you can see, the paneer pieces have browned nicely, so they're kind of golden brown. Some of them are a bit darker than they should be. But so I'm going to switch this off and start making the sauce on this side. Whoopsie, some of them got a bit too cooked. Yeah, let's just leave this. Okay, and so let's start making the sauce. So I'm going to make the sauce in my heavy Le Creuset pot because I find it really nice to make sauces with. Start off with a splash of oil, and then I'm going to let the oil heat up a little bit and add some aromatic spices. So these are the bay leaves and the cardamom and the cloves. So these spices would go straight into the oil, and the idea is that you let them infuse the oil. So you want the oil to sort of take on the flavor of these spices, and that would then give the whole dish a lovely flavor. And you'll see that soon they start to turn color a little bit, and the cardamom pods have a tendency to pop, so you do need to be a little bit careful where you're doing this, and you need to step away a little bit. Stop. So now the spices are starting to change color, and you know the edges of the bay leaves are starting to go a bit dark. I've just lowered the heat because the cardamom pods will start to pop in a bit. And then I'm going to go in with the onions. And straight after that, I'm going to go in with the garlic and ginger paste. And normally, the time between these two steps would be drawn out a little bit more, but I'm going to do these two in quick succession and let them brown together. So the idea is that you brown these two a little bit. So we're going to stop the video again and then come back. Now the onions and the garlic and ginger have changed color a little bit. You can see they're brown, they're starting to stick a bit on the bottom. So I'm going to put in the passata now and give that the same treatment, which means let it fry for quite some time. Now, it's quite important not to rush this stage, because the last thing you want is that raw garlic and ginger and onion paste. So the sauce needs to cook for quite some time, and it's really important to be patient. I'm going to add the dry spices in here. So I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of coriander seed, a teaspoon of red chili powder. Give it a stir. Leave that to cook for another 10 minutes, but you need to stir it in between. So I'm going to pop a lid on it now and let it cook for a while, and then I'll be back for the last stage. Okay, now so this sauce has been cooking for about 10 minutes, and if you look very carefully around the edges, you can see the oil has started to separate from the sauce. That's quite an important step in the cooking process, because that means that the sauce has been properly roasted. So now I'm going to add the peas and the paneer and a bit of water. Yeah, it's strange because you sort of cook it down a lot to get the water out, but then you add it back in. This often happens in Indian cooking. And the reason you do that is because you want to get in the flavors to go back into the food that you're making. So what did I do with that wooden spoon? Here it is. So give that a stir and let that simmer in the sauce. I'm going to add the Kitchen King to it as well. So that's about half a teaspoon of that, or garam masala, whatever you have. And then this is going to sit in that sauce and simmer for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's ready. Put the lid back on. Okay, the Matar Paneer is now ready, so I'm going to plate it up. As you can see, it's got a nice rich gravy, and that's it. And we would normally serve this with rotis or naan or any kind of Indian bread as part of a meal. So you'd have it with dal and some other things like raita. So there we are, that's my Matar Paneer. You can garnish it with a few coriander leaves to make it look pretty.